science, spirituality, and politics. Woo! Okay, I am going to deliver on that title, but really this video is to set up the tone of the channel and my upcoming podcast, Club BU. We're going to be covering lots of different topics, but fundamentally, it's all going to be about how to live a better life. Now, in the video specifically, I'm going to be using real-life examples like the one from this title to sort of show how making little changes in your perspective can make a huge change in your life. So I'm going to show how by just working on my perspective, I was able to go from not wanting to be here anymore, which I guess is the quickest way to say it, to looking forward to every day in a relatively short period of time. Now, yes, I still have bad days, but for the most part, I have great days, and I look forward to the next one. And that's the polar opposite of what my life was just 1 year ago. So what does that have to do with science, spirituality, and politics? On some level, we all get that our thoughts and our attitudes and especially our actions have a part in the reality that we live. We understand that if we get up on the wrong side of the bed and we go into work with a bad mood, it's probably going to be a bad day, and it's most likely going to snowball, and probably some of those people will spread it to other people and maybe bring the whole office down. We get that, but that's about as far as any of us ever take it. And to kind of take it any further than that, you kind of have to get uncomfortably close to that word spiritual, daily affirmations or gratitude, or it's all meant to be, like things that I'm just going to say. I was an outspoken atheist for over 30 years. So, those were just areas that they just didn't resonate with me. So I would try to work on my state a bit, but I would never really get very far until, about a year ago when I left the music business. I was at my low, and I knew I needed to change something, and it needed to be me. I was the only thing I could change. So I started kind of thinking about, well, what does science say about consciousness and your state of being? And I realized, science, there is science to support that our consciousness has an effect on our reality. So, if you think of a very simple, the placebo effect, but then when you start looking into quantum physics and you get the double slit experiment, and even before that, when you look at, if you go deep enough, everything is energy. So everything's energy. If you go deep enough, there's really no such thing as solid matter. And then when they look at things in their quantum state, the double slit experiment showed that particles are in multiple states until there's an observer. There needs to be a consciousness for it to be matter, or for it to be in at least a single place. I'm not claiming to be a scientist. But it was enough for me to say, well, science definitely hasn't proved that consciousness has nothing to do with reality, and there is evidence to support that it does. So I decided to just have a little bit more of an open mind toward it. I just decided I'm going to work more on my mental hygiene and kind of embrace it a little more without this fear of, am I being naive or spiritual or wishful thinking, things that I was scared of at that time. As you'll see on the channel, I'm just open now. I don't really put judgments on anything, so and it makes things a lot better. But anyway, we'll get there. So, when you're trying to take care of your mental hygiene, one of the first things that becomes obvious is that you need to address the things that work against it. And for me, candidate number one was obvious. My fix for my fear addiction, my anger addiction, my this world is a terrible place addiction that kept me in my bad mood all the time and kept me depressed was politics. When I first got into politics, during Bush v. Gore, that's the elderly part in Elderly Boy. Um, it felt like I was being responsible, like I was being a good citizen. I knew what was going on. I was up on current events. I was aware of what was good and what was bad, and what needed to happen. And it felt like that for a long time. It actually, for a while, it felt uplifting. I felt more knowledgeable and like I was going to be able to do some good. But but over the 23 years that I was immersed in it, it changed to something very different. And this won't be a surprise to anybody. We all see the state that it's in. But what I realized when I had to reassess it and see how it was serving me, I realized I wasn't doing any good. On the contrary, by putting my attention towards it, I was giving the division power. If nothing else, just giving it power over me. It was causing arguments with friends and family members. It was making my life worse. I would be upset because of something some stranger said on the internet about something neither one of us had any control over. It made no sense. It was causing me daily negativity. It was bringing me down. It was giving me reasons to be angry, reasons to be upset because of that fight that I had with a friend or family member. It was doing so much more harm than good being in it. And if you're saying right now, no, like I'm in the fight, somebody's got to stand up for these things, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm making a difference. Well, I'm not talking about that. If you feel like it's serving you and you're making a difference and you're happy with yourself, more power to you. I'm with you. Go out and make this world a better place, brother and sister. It's that's great. But if like 99% of the people that are letting it ruin their lives, if you're one of those people who you see that you're unfollowing people on social media, and you have a friend that you used to be really close to that you don't like so much now because of what they think about X, Y, or Z, let it go. Just let it go. It probably matters so much less than you think. You fighting with them is probably digging them into their position. It's actually probably having the exact opposite effect that you think it is. Just let it go and have the peace. And you know what? Once you start letting these things go, you start seeing how much better your life gets, and you want more of it. So that's what the channel is going to be about. I'm going to be giving you guys lots of examples. We're going to go way deeper. That's when I had a script for this. This only scratches the surface, but it was going to be so long and I couldn't remember any of it. So I decided, I just threw the script away and I said, just tell your real story. Show them who you are and where you're coming from and what it's going to be about. And so there you have it. We're just going to try to make this world a better place. On the podcast, I'm going to be talking to others and get their perspectives and see what they've done. At first, it is going to mostly be artists and musicians because that's who I know. And, that's the world I come from. But anybody that's thought outside the box and is making the world a better place, I want to talk to them. So yeah, let's do this. I hope you'll subscribe and let's build this new earth. I love you. Goodbye.